Look, bro, when I first started, like, doing no fat and, like, stopped, like, smoking, doing drugs, and, like, all this other stuff, right? The first thing that, like, clicked in my head, where I was like, bro, why am I jacking off? Why am I watching porn? The main thing, I was like, bro, my life's not getting any better, and I continually do this bullshit, and I don't feel any better. So I'm like, bro, obviously this shit is not working. It's like you take your car to the repair shop 1,000 times, bro. On the 1,001st time, you're like, all right, clearly, like, this fucking repairman is not gonna clean up or fix my car. I realized at a certain point, like, this shit was not solving my problems. It wasn't bringing me any happiness. It wasn't bringing me fulfillment in any way. As a matter of fact, it was doing the opposite. And a quote I would always say when I first started making videos about it, I would say, well, in Buddhism, right? Because I was looking up, like, spirituality. I was, like, becoming awakened. I was like, man, I need to look up what the Buddha was saying about this stuff. And one of the Four Noble Truths that the Buddhists will say, and really it's one of the centers of their philosophy, is they'll say, well, cravings lead to suffering, right? Attachment, cravings is like your desires. That's one of the Buddhist biggest thing. They'll say, there's a story where the Buddha tells the monks, go and come back when you are done desiring. And then they come back and go, well, we can't, we try to stop desiring, but then we desire not to desire. And then they desire to desire, not to desire, and then so on, go on and go forth. And then he tells them, well, you need to let go, right? Let go, be in control of your own body, right? This is the idea, because desires and cravings is a flesh thing. If you're Christian, it's the natural man, right? This is something always said, well, the natural man, like the Apostle Paul would say, I beat my body into submission. I'm no longer a slave to my body, right? And many people are a slave to their body. And one of the things in Buddhism, they'll say, well, attachment leads to suffering, right? Why is that? Well, you're putting a degree of control. You're losing a degree of control of your own happiness, right? Something so precious, bruh. And you're putting it in something outside of yourself, which is to say it will eventually not be there. That's the idea of cravings. Eventually, the satisfaction to your craving, the attachment, won't always be there. You won't always have a drug. You won't always have a phone or pornography or all these things. Eventually, it's going to lose its thrill. And eventually, you will suffer. Like, attachment is the root of suffering. This is why the Buddhists will say, well, stop desiring. And in stopping to desire or preventing desire, you prevent suffering. But the idea, bro, and this is something I would say with pornography, one of the biggest things, bro. I started watching porn, and the fallacy I believed, bro, was that it was natural. I was like, bro, this is a normal thing for me to do, which is true, right? That's a body. My body wants to do this, right? And that's normal. There's nothing wrong with that feeling. But the fallacy came in me feeling like I had to do anything about it, bro. Like, why do I have to find something outside of myself that can fix a problem inside of myself? How would that make any sense? How can I have a feeling inside myself and something in the external world will fix something inside of me? How would they know who it made no sense to me. And so that's why I realized at a certain point, I'm like, bro, it's based on, like, they'll say the best lies are based on a truth. Like, if your mother tells you, why were you out last night or whatever, and you were out till 3 a.m. at your friend's house, you would tell your mom, well, I was out with a friend and we were kind of hanging out or whatever. It might have been a crazy party. You're giving a part of the truth, but it's really not the whole truth. And it has to have a degree of believability, a degree of truth for it to be believable, right? You wouldn't tell your mom, well, I was at church, I was, reading the Bible till 3 a.m. because that's not true at all. There's no believability in that. The reason I say that is because there's a degree in truth of me thinking, well, I need to, jack off. I need to watch porn. I need to, like, for example, oh, I'm hungry. That's a normal thing. That's true. I feel hungry, and that's in me because I need to eat to survive. What's not in me is for me to overeat, for me to get picky, for me to eat junk food, for me to now have a want, a desire, rather than just to do something out of necessity. And a lot of people, bro, a lot of prophets, philosophers, some of the happiest people are minimalists. They live on very, very little because they understand the value of true happiness. And that happiness, like people go on dopamine detoxes because it's like your brain gets fried with so much stimulus, bro, to a point where you overindulge. You go so far over what the over what baseline used to be for you. Like you can eat one meal and feel full, but if you eat a meal and a half every single day, eventually you become desensitized to baseline and more tolerant. And now you need a meal and a half. It's the same thing with pornography. People get more and more picky with the videos. With nicotine, you have to up the dosage. With drugs, you have to up the dosage. Alcohol, all this stuff, you have to up it, because you no longer get the same thrill, bro, the same fulfillment, the same satisfaction out of the urge that you had. And once it starts to push, bro, you lose a degree of control. This is why they say, well, attachment leads to suffering. It's something outside of yourself, bro, that you're attached to. That's why at the beginning, when you jack off, when you watch porn, when you do drugs, it's super fun because you have a degree of control over it, right? You're not addicted. It's like, oh, I can do this drug. I can do some coke on the weekend and it's cool. But the second you start to become attached to it, it stops being fun because you no longer have any control over the situation. It's like driving a car super fast, right? 150 miles down the freeway. That's fun if you're driving. If you're in the passenger seat and another person is driving, bro, that's no longer fun because you have no control. And the risk is insanely high and you have no say in what happens. You're just along for the ride. That's what pleasure is, bro. You don't have the steering wheel. You're no longer calling the shots. But that's something that brings you satisfaction that's outside of yourself. Like they'll say addiction is wanting something more and enjoying it less. Like the more and more you do it, the more you up, the more you suffer because you can't have the highs without the lows and all that, right? But it was something interesting because you can even attach to labels. People will say, well, I'm this, that, and the third. I'm Republican, I'm black, I'm gay, I'm trans, or whatever, right? People have these labels. Oh, I do this, that, this, that, this, that. Where if someone says anything contrary, right, which is to say, they say, oh, you're wrong about this, or you're not pretty, you're ugly, or whatever, they'll suffer because it's contrary to what they're attached to. Now you give that person a level of power over you and a level of control over your happiness, right? That's something that is sustainable to you. That's something that you can sustain, that you can provide yourself. And that's why I believe truly in all spiritual religions, bro, they will preach fasting, sobriety, abstinence, all these things, minimalist behaviors, right? Where you can understand that baseline in life, just living is enough, bro. You don't need to push. Try to get as much as you can. Indulge, because that's all really pleasure is, bro. That's all the flesh wants. It's like your body is like a child, bro. It wants to run into the street. It wants to jump into the pool. But as a parent, you go, well, look, I know you want to do that, but you got to understand that I have wisdom that is beyond your realm of understanding. To your body doesn't truly understand the longevity of the decisions that it's making, right? If it truly understood, it would never want to do cocaine, bro. Think about that. It's like, why would you want to do coke? Why would you want to watch porn? This isn't going to solve your problems. You know that. Like I always say, it's like, bro, you watch porn 1,000 times. By the 1,001st time, you have to understand it's not bringing you anything of substance at all. Right? It's like there is no, like, it's like I said, you could take the car to the shop 1,000 times. Eventually you got to realize, bro, it's not doing anything for you. That's the definition of insanity. Doing something over again and expecting a different result. But people begin to get attached, begin to get addicted, bro. And that's when things get the most difficult. But it's like you have, and I really believe this is a purpose of life. And most religions, philosophies, this is what they'll say. There's a degree of like, you have to control your body. It's like you're an animal, but you are a spiritual being, right? You have a spirit inside of a body. The body is prone to the physical realm. The spirit is prone to things of the spiritual. It's two ends tugging at you at all times. We're always in like a state of tension. Well, I want to do this, but I feel like I shouldn't do this. I desire to do this. But I want to do this. This is why the Buddhists say, well, get rid of the desire. The desire isn't wrong. That's a part of you for a reason. And that was the one thing that I had to understand, where I go, man, feeling horny or wanting people to like me or wanting to do any of this, there's nothing wrong with that. But the fallacy is that I feel like I have to solve that. Who said this feeling is even bad? Who said I have to get rid of this feeling? Because that's effectively what you're doing. You're going, well, I feel horny, so I have to jack off because I can't feel this feeling. Like, what is this? I can't feel this feeling. Because there's a level of power if you were to overcome that. And it's like your body is testing you. Hey, can you? It's the same way like a dog will test its owner. Well, I'm going to be the alpha or whatever. I'm going to make the decisions until you can kind of have the animal surrender to you, and then it can understand and it can be fed in moderation and live its best life, live its role that it was intended to be here for, right? And be its servant to you. That's the role of what it is. That's the essence of who it is. That's who it was bred to be, right? That's the life that it can be, bro. But you have to set boundaries, be disciplined, and intolerant to certain things, bro, because your body doesn't know any better, bro. It truly doesn't, but you do know better. And that's why people oftentimes will jack off. They'll do drugs. They'll go have a night out. They'll sleep with a random person. And they'll wake up the next morning, or they'll do it afterward, post-nut clarity, hangover, all this, and go, man, like, why did I do that, bro? Because there's a level of, like, you satisfied that, you itch that itch, and now you're left with yourself, and you're going, bro, like, why would you do that? But you have, there's a level of, and this is what I had to do, truly. I had to understand, like, when I'm in that moment, I had to have a strong enough reason to not do it than the reason that I should do it. Because I would afterward be, oh, I shouldn't have done that. But in the moment, I could never be strong enough to say, bro, I know I should not do this, right? I wasn't able to truly put my foot down and be disciplined and intolerant or intolerable to what my body wanted to do in that moment, bro. But I had to, like, logically break it down, have a philosophy and truth that I could, like, fully grasp and understand, and a rock that was strong enough to go, okay, you have an urge. Well, here's something you can lean on when you have this urge that is strong enough to combat it. Because you have to fully understand. It's like they say, you have to know your enemy. You can't go into the battle blind, bro. You have to know your enemy. The person that has more knowledge of the enemy will always win the war, bro. Because they're not going into the battle blind. They have knowledge of what they're getting themselves into. And this is why I was so passionate about it, bro. Because I saw the slippery slope this shit can get into, bro. Because that is, like, effectively the point of life. The point of life is to grow. But you only grow by overcoming things. You'll never grow by giving in to things, bro. That's not the point of growing. Or that's not the point of life. The point of life is not to just be pleasurable and do all these things. If it was, we would just be animals. We would just be running around doing all this random stuff. We would be thinking in the moment. There will be no future, no longevity. That's the point of life, is to grow, but you have to overcome things. That's why I tell people, you can create your own battle within yourself. There is a battle within yourself. You're just giving into it. Everyone has a battle. Everyone has a struggle. But if you have a struggle, that means that you are somewhat fighting back, bro, because you at least have a knowledge of it. And they'll say, like, one of the things people say, well, the first step or whatever in solving your problems is realizing you have a problem. It's like, no, the first step is realizing your role in the problem. I think Aristotle said that. He said you have to first understand your own role in your own suffering. Because at the end of the day, who plays a role in your own suffering? If you play a role in your own happiness, then you're going to be playing a role in your own suffering. But we put our happiness outside of ourselves. We attach ourselves to outside objects in the external world, things within, and we try to solve them with things without. Internal issues that we try to solve in the external world. Those things would never equate. The energies would never synergize. But we've been taught to do this. And so what happens is repetitive, and nothing happens, bro. There's no sustainability. That's why people get addicted. You do the same thing, and you set the bar so high because that's what you think happiness is. That's why I say people who will say, well, bro, you're wasting your youth if you don't chase pleasures, because the future's gonna be so bad. Well, the future's bad because you based your happiness on drugs and sex and alcohol and all these things, where you set yourself up and wasted the prime of your youth. So of course your future's gonna be bad. Of course, because that's what you think a good life is. That's what you think all these things are. And whatever you believe is happiness, or believe is pleasure, or whatever, that's what pleasure is gonna be. It's like you could tell someone who's colorblind, you both look at a tree, oh, it's green. Yeah, it's green because people told him it was green. He could be really seeing blue to you, but he doesn't really know. He's colorblind. So green is green, green is green. He saw that color, teacher told him it's green, he thinks it's green. It's like you tell someone that's happiness, it's really pleasure, and boom, he thinks pleasure is happiness, and now his life, there's no happiness anymore. But it's because there was no struggle, bro. There was no overcoming. He just gave in. So, of course, his future is going to be mundane, bro. But that's why they say, man, attachment leads to suffering. It's like you have no say in the matter. Like, they'll say, if you can't let it go, it's not worth holding on to, because you don't have control over it. Like, oh, let something go. If you're able to let something go, that is the ultimate control. Like, they'll say, well, he who can relinquish control, he who can let go of control, has all the control. That's why the Buddhism and Buddhists, they'll say, let go. That's the only way to really have control, to really let go and say, look, I'm gonna let go of control, because that's the only way you can really have control. It's like going in a restaurant and somebody's rushing, the manager's rushing, trying to do everything, trying to have ultimate control over the restaurant, sweating, everything's a mess. It's like he has no control, bro. He has no control. But the person that can delegate and be chilling in the back room while it's all running smoothly, he has true control, because he has let go of control. He doesn't need to be all in control. But it's just an interesting thing, bro. So anyway, man, attachment leads to suffering. It's Phanto, man. I'll catch y'all.